Well, back to our top story now. The opposition leader Peter Dutton has been in Alice Springs. It is his latest trip there, and he's been there with the Country Liberal Party Senator Jacinta Price, and she joins us on the program now. Jacinta, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. Straight to it here. Have you put your hand up for the Indigenous portfolio yet?
Well, look, I can't say that I've put my hand up, and that's certainly a decision for the leadership to make in the coming days. But I have been really grateful to have Peter Dutton here in Alice Springs yesterday. Today we've got some more meetings with locals on the ground. I think it's wonderful that he's been able to make a second trip now and spend a substantial amount of time really understanding what the issues are on the ground for a lot of locals, because nothing much has really changed since the Prime Minister attended early this year. In terms of, while the alcohol restrictions might mean that a couple of days a week are a little bit quieter in terms of the presence of, people under the influence of alcohol on our streets, but the issue of kids at night time on our streets is still a huge issue for us and a really big concern.
There is a strong push for you, though, Jacinta, to take that role. Would you like it?
Look, I understand, and I'm very, very grateful that there is an incredible amount of support around the country in terms of the role. As I said again, it is up to the leadership with regard to that particular role. My focus is certainly what's going on the ground at the moment, certainly in my community and throughout the Northern Territory right now.
I'll just go one more time. I mean, would you like it if he offered it to you? Would you accept it?
Look, as I said again, there's some big steps, some big asks, but I certainly am. I don't want to be distracted from what I need to do on the ground, making sure that key people are heard and listened to within the community, so we can try and bring about some pressure on the government to bring about some results. I apologise for that noisy crow in the background too.
No,
saying good morning.
That's okay. Well, good morning to the crow. But have you at least spoken to Peter Dutton about the role?
Look, of course, it's been mentioned, and that's as far as I'll go in terms of that. Everyone's talking
he's
about
mentioned
the role.
it. So he hasn't offered it to you?
Going forward. It's come up in discussion. It's certainly come up in discussion. It can't not come up in discussion under these current circumstances.
OK, Jacinta, if it isn't you, OK, humour me for a moment now. If it isn't you, would Karen Liddell be a good choice? I mean, she's another name that's been mentioned.
I think she'd be absolutely, she'd be a fine choice. I've got a lot of time. I've got a lot of deep respect for Karen. She's very passionate. She like me is very keen to make sure that the no is supported going toward this referendum, and she's got some great leadership skills in Karen. Got a lot of time for her. OK,
there's been a few days that have passed now since Julie and Lisa stepped aside from the role. Do you think, having had more time to think about it, was the loss of him in that role a hindrance or a help to the no campaign?
Well, I mean, I respect his position for someone in such a position to come out and basically state what they believe in, and I think that's what's wonderful about being part of a coalition is the fact that you can have an opinion in matters that you feel very passionate and deep about, and I think for him it was probably the right choice to make that decision, so that perhaps somebody who's prepared to fight that no will step into that role. So, it was honourable on his half to do that, to step aside to allow for that opportunity, I think.
We get caught up so often with big matters. Obviously, this is a big matter, but with what people feel like in the cities, what people say in the cities. But away from the cities, into the regions, into the Alice where you are now, Peter Dutton there obviously as well, dealing with violence that is still continuing. So what is the feeling on the ground about the Voice at the moment where you are?
People aren't happy about it. There are those who've complained and said, we're trying to come together as a community. They see it as very divisive. There are people here who aren't Indigenous, who have Indigenous children, are married into Indigenous families, have Indigenous foster children, and we're generally just trying to get on as a community without being separated along the lines of race. There are activists who turn around and threaten people. You wait till we've got this voice in place, we're going to make life hard for you. So it's almost being weaponised against some people, and others just don't want that level of division. And that's generally the sense, not just in Alice Springs, but across the Northern Territory. So people are working on the front line all the time, dealing with some of our really tough issues, and they want to see, the betterment of our marginalised Indigenous Australians, but they don't trust that this concept of a constitutionally enshrined voice is the answer to it.
All right, Jacinta Price, I really appreciate your time. Thank you, as always, for your time. We'll talk to you soon.